Yo, what's going on YouTube? Alright, so today we are cooking. No, I'm just kidding. We are making non-scent. And I use normally the Evolve 3D. It works very well. It's more or less a scent blocker or deodorizer. But I'm going to show you how to get more into depth with scent control while out hunting. And the best way to do that is blending into your surroundings. So what you can do is find an area of whatever type of game you're hunting. As for me, coyotes. So I will go into an area and I'll find a spot where I see a lot of coyote tracks and so on and so forth. And what I'll basically do is scout around and find some branches, bushes, weeds, stuff like that. Give it a good smell, see how it smells, if it smells like your surroundings. And what I'll do is make my non-scent basically out of that product or out of those items. So what I have in here right now in the pot is distilled water. You don't want to use chlorinated water or water from your house because of water softeners that have salt and stuff like that. You want to use distilled water. It's more or less the purest water you can use without scent. And so what I do is fill up basically a pot like so, and you want to get probably about maybe a pound of weeds. I mean, I'm not expecting you to go out there with a scale and pick up the right amount of weeds and, you know, or right amount of poundage of weeds. But I normally grab a nice solid, about a pound or so. And branches work well too because they carry a scent. So you can see this is way more than a pound. But what I do is put it in my distilled water that has been boiling. And I pretty much just soak it very well. And keep, you want to keep as much as that branch stuff in the water as you can. And you notice I use gloves for the fact that your body produces oils and your body produces scent. So you want to stay non-scented as much as possible as you're making this. You don't want to be smoking a cigarette at the same time as making your non-scent. So what I'll do is put that on high and let it soak in. Throw in some more branches and stuff like that. You can put a top on if you like. Don't use a pot that you're going to use for cooking because then you're really going to have to scrub it down and clean it out. So you just grab an old pot laying around and just let it boil. So we'll come back to this when it's finished and I'll show you guys the results. So stay tuned. Alright, so I have allowed it to boil for approximately maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And what I do is put a top on top of it. And that's just going to keep all that scent compacted within the water instead of allowing your scent to rise and boiling pretty much nothing or losing all your scent. So I'll keep a top on it like so and just continue to boil on high. You'll notice your water will start bubbling. You'll start losing a little bit of water. If you think you're going to lose too much water, then continue to put distilled water in there. You can use water bottles, standard water bottles that you buy at the store, but just, I prefer distilled water more or less. And so yeah, I'm going to let that boil up, and then when it's done, I'll show you the water and we'll see if there's any kind of discoloration or anything like that to it. Now, I mean, it really does not matter if there is discoloration. You're going to be spraying it on you, but honestly, you're in hunting clothes. Your hunting clothes get dirty, so it's not like you're going to a wedding in a tuxedo and tie, you know. So it really doesn't matter what you're going to spray on yourself or if it's going to leave some kind of, you know, disorder or marks or stains or anything like that. But it's not going to. But I was just basically laying that out because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to spray that on my new camis. So stay tuned. I'm going to let it boil out some more. Once it's done boiling, what I'll do is let it sit for a few minutes and let all that moisture and everything else fall back down. And because the top moisture, you got to think that moisture is going to rise, and a lot of that top moisture is going to have most of the good scent on it. So I'll allow that to settle and that moisture to fall back down into this. Then I'll remove my branches, weeds and stuff like that, squeeze them out really good, throw them in a bag. You don't want to continue to use the same weeds and stuff like that, so you can throw them in a bag, throw them away, and then you'll have your water. So stay tuned. I'm going to let it go for about another 5 minutes, probably about, I want to say maybe 10-15 minutes total. maybe a little bit longer, depending on how good it's boiling. And then what we'll do is we'll start bottling up our non-scent. All right, guys, so we're done basically boiling our non-scent, our weeds, branches, whatever it is you put in your pot. And you can see the moisture starting to de-rot, or basically fall back down into my bowl. You can see it dripping down. Now you don't want to over boil, because then what you'll get is like cooked scent. You'll get, you know, more or less like a burnt weed scent. You don't want to do that. So about 10, as I stated, 10 to 15 minutes, or until you feel like, you know, that, hey, it's good enough, I don't need to go any further. And what I'll do is let this sit for approximately 3 to 5 minutes and allow all this moisture to fall back down. I mean, that's, you know, that top moisture is going to be a lot of the good scent. So I'm going to let that fall out, and then what I'll do is get a bag, throw my weeds and stuff, squeeze my weeds out and everything into the bowl, get those weeds, throw them away, and then have my non-scent. Keep bottles on hand. Make sure your bottles are, you know, not scented. Like a Sprite bottle, for instance, you don't want to put your non-scent in a Sprite bottle, because scent will stick on just about anything. So I mean, that Sprite scent is going to stick on that bottle no matter what, so it's useless. I'll grab a water bottle or a couple of water bottles or something like that laying around and use those, because water is more or less a less scent than a Sprite bottle would be, if that makes any sense to you. So I'm going to let this moisture drop, and then what I'll do is squeeze all the roots out and throw the roots away, and then we'll have our distilled water. So stay tuned. As soon as that evaporates and the water starts to drop down a little bit more and I'm more comfortable with it, I'll pull out the weeds and show you. Advisory, do not burn yourself. All the moisture fell down off of the top lid, and now what I got is my roots and stuff. The water is really hot. As I stated, you want to be cautious. Do not burn yourselves. And so what I'll do now is pretty much pull out little by little, get all the water out of your weeds. You can see, and I mean, I can clearly, it smells like if I went where I go shooting at or hunting at, pretty much smells just like that. So it smells like basically weeds, like dirt. So what I'll do is try not to make a mess, throw all my weeds away, and I'm gonna let that dry out a little bit more, or cool down a little bit more, before I try to stick my hand in there and get the remainings out. So just let it sit, let it cool, and then what you'll do is pour your water into your bottles. So stay tuned, we'll hit that process as soon as I get all this out and let it cool. You can see it's still coming to a boil, but we're just gonna go ahead and go right on through this, and I'll show you. I made my own funnel. I don't personally have one, but I mean, you can make one out of a cup like so. And what you're gonna wanna do is just try to get as less weeds and stuff into that as possible. Losing a lot there. Now remember, it's just weeds, so I mean, it really does not matter. It's not like it's store-bought. You can always go get more weeds. So there you go. Got a nice full bottle of non-scent, and I mean, it clearly smells just like the outdoors. So see, it smells just like weeds, it smells like dirt. So there you guys go. And that is right there is how you make non-scent. Yeah, I've seen people use baking soda, other kind of house materials, you know, baking soda. I've seen people use salt. But to me, honestly, this is the best route to go, because what you're basically doing is getting the outdoors, bringing it indoors, and making your own non-scent. So hope this video helped you guys. Stay tuned. We have a huge hunt coming up in Prescott, Arizona. I actually joined in on a coyote competition, and it's going to be February 20th to the 23rd in Prescott. And I got a 3-man crew. Hopefully this goes well. We'll see. And hopefully this non-scent, you know, does its point. But really, to be honest with you, it's all about wind and knowing your wind location, playing against the wind. So there you go. Rate, comment, subscribe, please thumbs up. And as I stated, this is the best method to go. You can go buy store-bought, as I buy the Zolve 3D, or you can just make it yourself. So let me know what you guys think. I'm up and out. Peace.